Some wars are fought with guns and grenades. Others are waged in silence, in memory, and in scars unseen. The Vietnam War, more than 50,000 names etched in granite. Each one a story ended too soon. But the stories didn't end there. This is their echo. Vietnam, a conflict that spanned nearly 2 decades. Over 58,000 American lives lost. Millions of Vietnamese dead, soldiers, civilians, and children. From 1955 to 1975, a generation was swept into a war that would divide a nation. Some call it a fight against communism, others a tragic miscalculation. Either way, the jungles of Southeast Asia became graveyards of youth, and homecomings were not met with parades but with silence, shame, and confusion. Soldiers left one war only to enter another, this time in their own minds. PTSD, broken families, addiction, and the haunting question, was it worth it? War doesn't end when the guns fall silent. It lingers in the hearts of the mothers who never saw their sons again, in the minds of soldiers who carried ghosts into their sleep. Each name on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial is not just a casualty, it's a friend who never got to grow old, a father who never returned, a brother frozen in time at 19. The emotional toll was immense. Over 2.7 million Americans served in Vietnam. Many returned to a nation that wanted to forget, but the veterans couldn't, and neither could the families of the fallen. In 1982, a wall of black granite rose in Washington, D.C., cut into the earth like a wound. It held no political stance, only names, silence, and reflection. But not everyone could make the journey to see it. So, in 1996, the Wall That Heals was born, a mobile replica that would bring the memorial to the people. Since then, it has traveled to hundreds of communities across America, rural towns, big cities, tribal lands, offering a space to remember, to mourn, and to heal. For many veterans, the mobile wall is more than a memorial. It's a moment of reconciliation with themselves and their past. With a country that once turned away, they come to touch names they once knew in flesh. They come to cry, to remember, to forgive. One veteran said, "I found my friend's name, and for the first time, I said goodbye." Another whispered, "It took this wall to finally come home." For families too, it's a bridge to a father they never met, a brother they barely remember, a son they'll never forget. The Vietnam War was a chapter written in fire and sorrow, but the wall, both in DC and on the road, writes something else. That memory endures, that honor can come even if it comes late. The Wall That Heals is more than steel and names. It's a sacred mirror showing us who we were, what we lost, and how far we've come in the learning to remember. As long as it travels, so too will the stories. It may be healing.
Anything and nobody wanted to be at the end of anything. The memorial was designed by Maya Lin, a 21-year-old college student. Her design was selected unanimously out of 1,421 entries. She said she knew very little bit about the war and very little bit about the military, but she had an idea, because this memorial had several requirements to be built. It had to list the names of the 58,281 service members that didn't come home, honor those 2.7 million Americans that served in the country of Vietnam, and it cannot make a political statement. And then it had to fit on those 3 acres on the National Mall that Congress had unanimously given us. The reason it can't make a political statement is because what? This is a place of healing, and we're not smart enough and respect each other's enough in the United States to get over those issues. She said nobody wants to be at the beginning or the end, so she starts and stops it all at the center of the apex. Department of Defense tells us the war started in 1959, although we lost 2 service members as early as 1956. They were later added to the wall. They obviously won't fit where they belong, so they're put in wherever the architects could figure it out and fit them. And actually, one of them was Fitzgibbons. That mother gave us her husband, and later in 1971 gave us her son. He died in Vietnam also. This panel right here covers about 5 years of the war, 5 months of the war, 5 weeks of the war. 1968, our heaviest casualties is over 17,000 service members, covers half of the east wall, circles back around and covers about half of the west wall. If you had 58,000 names to list, you would normally do it alphabetically, but that's not going to make any sense because all the common names in the United States, and Maya Lin says she doesn't want it to look like a phone book. Plus, she had an idea. Her idea was, I'm going to list them by the date they lost their lives or the date they want reported missing in action, because that way they're forever with the men and women they served with and the men and women they died with. It's part of that healing. A service member that served in the country of Vietnam can come out here and honor all of his friends in one location. In fact, this panel right here, E3, is probably one of our most famous panels. There was a movie portraying Colonel Hal Moore. Mel Gibson was the actor, and it was called We Were Soldiers, We're Young, Landing Zone X-Ray. It was our first major engagement against the enemy. At the end of the movie, Mel Gibson is standing in front of this panel honoring those 260 plus service members that died. They were inserted into a field via the helicopters, obviously, right into the middle of an entire company of the enemy. The youngest man on the wall is 15 years old, United States Marine. At 13 years old, he changed his birth certificate and took it to the United States Army, and they said, you're too young. So at 14, he takes it to the United States Marine Corps, and they said, come on in, son. Unfortunately, he did not come home. The oldest man on the wall is 62 years old. We have brothers on the wall. And like I said, the father and sons, there's 8 women on the wall. Women in the United States military today can do what? Any job you want. In the Vietnam era, we did not allow them in combat, but the nurses could volunteer to go to the country of Vietnam and take care of their service members. They're truly the angels for those service members. They held their hands of the ones that weren't going to make it. They ended up being their mothers, their girlfriends, and their wives. So we can never forget their sacrifice. Over 10,000 nurses served in the country of Vietnam. The names are separated by what? A diamond. If you see a plus or a cross on the justified side of the name, it's going to indicate that individual is whereabouts unknown, or the slang term of missing in action. As we recover those service members and bring them home, we change their indicator from that plus to that cross to that diamond. There's another symbol that could be put on the wall, and it's never been put on there. If we find an individual alive, we would put the circle around that cross, indicating the circle of life. When you look at the memorial, just like the one in Washington, D.C., you can touch it, you can get a name rubbing on it. When the rains come down from the heavens, the names disappear. When the sun comes out, the names reappear. You can't identify a service member's rank. You can't identify the branch of the service he was in, his religion, or anything, because Maya Lin said nobody's death is more important or less important than the next person. She wanted this to be a journey. She said, before we can start healing as a nation, you must accept the loss. She wanted you to start at one end of the memorial, walk down the memorial. As it towers over the top of you, it allows your reflection to become one with the lost. As you exit the memorial, you come back amongst the living. This is a 21-year-old college student's idea.
Wow. Wow.
We have all kinds of interesting facts. I encourage you to go up to the information tent, get our trifolds. We have a trifold on the chaplains on the wall, the women on the wall by the facts, the wall numbers, and all of that other stuff, and of course our information tent up there. the Mobile Education Center. It is the only place in the country you'll see a small portion of those 400,000 items that have been left at the wall in Washington, D.C. Any questions?
What did they do with the mementos that have been left when they're gathered up?
Are we talking about in D.C. or here? In D.C., they're all collected, even though the memorial was built with private funds and it is still maintained by the nonprofit. The National Park Service owns it. They collect them every night and categorize them and keep them in a warehouse. There was supposed to be a museum built, but it hasn't happened, and I don't see it happening in the future. It's kind of interesting because what they do now is they bring in Vietnam veterans to help them identify some of those items, because nobody really knows what they are. These items left here will be turned over to St. Louis County Parks, and they'll make a decision on what they do with them.